between these two teams, Space Station versus eUnited, with an awful lot on the line for both of these teams.
Okay, ban phase begins. eUnited on defense, so they'll start it off. They'll get rid of the first attacker. Let's see who they choose. On Consulate, there's a lot of common criminals here. Jackal, Nomad, these are operators that get banned out. Capital is another one. When you have less room to breathe as a defender, those three operators are typically going to be attacker bans. SSG will follow it up with the Nomad, so it's going to be the double down on that particular front. This is going to allow a little bit more freedom for the defenders to maneuver now that these two operators banned out.
For those that are fans of eUnited and Space Station who didn't tune in on Monday, do know that our newest operator, Sam Fisher, aka callsign 0, he is banned. He is under quarantine. He cannot be played at all. However, that means that both Ace and Malusi, the attacking hard breacher and then the utility soak defender, are both in play. And with neither of them being banned, we can see both of them in this map. The operator bans, for those that don't have the visual aid in front of them, is Capital and Nomad on attack and Wamai and Mira on defense. And would you look at that? SSG is going to waste no time bringing out Ace Canadian on the brand new hard breach operator paired with Hibana. Yeah, as it's going to be a cafeteria garage defense for eUnited.
So Consulate's always had one little problem as maps go. It needs to have an adequate enough amount of hard destruction to open up the garage, which is a triple panel. That's a lot. But also, it's safer to bring the ranged hard destruction on every other site, and you don't need much hard destruction on all of the rest of the sites. Usually it'll open maybe Bosco, Spotlight Projector on the top floor, though that site rarely gets played. And on the other two sites, there's not a whole lot. But as a quick aside, for a limited time, you can support Rainbow Six Esports Pro teams with 30% of the net revenue split equally amongst the Phase 3 teams. And you'll look pretty cool doing it as well with those Pro League uniforms. Don't forget to check out the store in-game where you can find those. Again, it's 30% split equally amongst the Phase 3 teams. It's a great way to support these squads. Now, in the setup, it's going to be a top floor hold, but the bomb site is actually much further down. And this is just a delay strategy being set up by eUnited. They want to prevent the attack easily taking those top floors and waste as much time as possible.
Late setup still happening from eUnited, as we come to see from an awful lot of teams. Obviously, when you have a smoke and a mute on the board, and on the left side of your screen, you can see both Yeti and Alfama are equipped with the SAS to shotguns, so they can do lots of site remodeling. What it means is that they're going to have no problem opening everything up. But neither is SSG, and the first of Ace's gadgetry is going to go off on the wall. So what's the Selma charge, as it's referred to as? So if you hear us talking about Selma, yeah, no, there's no Louise for those that don't know how to hear properly.
I kind of got that one, Parker. Because
I'm glad you did. So hopefully somebody did.
Yeah.
Also, just as a note from earlier, when we were in the preamble, don't try to say the words roster and squad at the same time. Doesn't give you the word you think.
And now I'm trying to say that in my head, and I'm not getting it. I'll have to do that later.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be clipped. So
well, I'm sure it will be.
There's another Selma charge, by the way, that goes off on that garage panel right now. You can see from the lineup that eUnited is bringing, they aren't even trying to stop that at all. I think it is a little bit foolish to try to bandit juggle or to kite it away. Thatcher is available. He's been brought by SSG, obviously, but he also functions differently now when it comes to bandit batteries. He just disables them instead of getting rid of them, so it was a bit of a tweak to Thatcher.
So as I was trying to talk about earlier, Ace kind of bridges the gap between Thermite and Hibana, and that's what's made a lot of people claim to him as the best hard destructor in the game. He's a super versatile operator, and just him alone, he's probably the best choice on this map. So that's why we're probably going to see him quite a lot. And he's already done great work on the garage here, Canadian specifically. First little scuffle between Arampy and Rexon, Kansan, and Bosco. An exchange back and forth by yellow stairs. You'll see Alfalma come out successful. Only 6 bullets, but he challenges anyway. And he'll do some damage to Canadian, though no kill. The garage hold is working out fairly well, but the top clear has worked for the attack. They can open up from above and use the holes that were already made to start applying pressure to the anchors. We come down to the last 30 seconds. Grixter's going to get one by the locker hallway. I think he was playing on Banana. That's a good kill there, as it's going to allow him to flank the remaining attackers in the last 20 seconds. Canadian, the only one outside garage, now the only one on his team, will have to brave a push through the gas canister. And as we come close to the end of this round, he really has no chance with as little HP as he has. Alfalma will clean it up, and eUnited take round number 1.
A pretty convincing round from eUnited as they lock out the push from Space Station coming through that main garage. And I mean, SSG kind of trickled into their death. They did attempt for a push from the back and a push from yellow, and they got met and dealt with very swiftly by Alfalma playing on yellow stairs and at the bottom over towards pipes. It was a very strong spot for him to be in because he can cover that garage opening that's been created by the ace. He can pivot over towards yellow stairs. And with that shotgun, a single blast to the chest is going to be more than sufficient on pretty much every operator in the game. And he can very quickly swap off to the SMG-11 while dropping down toxic canisters. And there is a pattern that you tend to see, a rhythm, if we can refer to it as such, with a good smoke player over by pipes. There wasn't really any disruption that was brought from Space Station that could have shaken the smoke off of that spot. You saw a frag grenade go sailing over his shoulder at one point towards the double doors that took out the deployable shield over by security door. But that is far removed from where the smoke was playing. And one of the big things that you can see on SSG's lineup is that if they're not bringing a Zofia regularly, there's no Capitao, there's no Nomad on the board as well. There's very limited tools that you can have to knock people should they try to push you or to stop them or at least flush them out of certain spots. Those 3 operators are very critical at being able to disrupt. And right now, Zofia's not on the board. Nomad and Capitao are banned. So I understand why SSG's bringing as much hard breach as they are. They're going to go with the Ace and Hibana yet again. But with the IQ coming into play and Hibana being in play, their only real soft destruction is going to be in the hands of the Sledge and the Ash. And if EU reads into this, they can eat up those flashes and the Ash charges from Fultz and the frag grenades from Bosco quite easily.
Yeah, I mean, they've got a well-rounded kit, SSG, with their lineup. I understand the logic behind their operator selection, but I agree with you. I think on Consulate specifically, I would probably pull out the Hibana and bring in a Zofia. I think it's going to be more versatile, especially with the lineup that we're seeing brought by eUnited. The Maestro's on the board. That's going to be a major factor all the time. And always having explosive for that is important. But decision made and committed to, it seems, here for SSG. Speaking of decisions, they've gone for a CEO top floor clear. So that's from west to east, which is a little bit counter to the norm. They're also pressuring in the basement. As you could see, they opened up the garage. Now, in an Archives defense, there's a lot of ways you can address this site. And I think SSG are hoping to get some picks off-site early. But because of the way that eUnited is roaming, they haven't been able to find any just yet.
United, of course, bringing 3 nitro cells, and there's a little bit of action happening from Fultz as he tags Rexon, but cannot finish him off. Rexon with 2 impact grenades. He's not a C4, so you don't need to worry too much about that secondary gadget being in use. But Fultz is just having a bit of difficulties nailing Rexon down inside of Teller's upstairs, and there you have it. He's still waiting very patiently. Double duty now from Space Station as they try to flush this Vigil out of the spot. He doesn't have a ton of HP and will die to 1 or 2 bullets. But before he goes, he takes Fultz down with him. Bosco from above is able to trade him off, but that's a big win for eUnited.
Yeah, huge pick there for eUnited. One that I think Rexon had no right getting. Unfortunate that he wasn't killed much earlier for SSG. But SSG at least has control somewhat of the upper site, so they can start to work on the floor and pressure the C4 from below. But that's the problem, really. There's an abundance of C4 downstairs, and there's going to be plenty of denial for eUnited in the last 30 seconds when SSG goes for the plant.
You can see Rampy trying to find anybody down below. His target likely Yeti with that pulse scanner out. Another from eUnited now as it's Kenzen onto the board, and SSG will continue to trail, and they'll have to be very, very quick. All three of those Nitro cells still on the board. Make that two as Yeti gets punished by Rampy, and then one goes off, dealing some damage to Rampy, but not quite enough. Thinking they going for the plant, and the Maestro of Kansan is stopped top of Spiral Stairs. Grixer picked back up by Alfama, but it might be too late. Diffuser down, 45 seconds to go. Nitro cell finds thinking nade, but his job is already done. Objective planted. Means a 2v2. The tougher prospect for eUnited is going to be heading up from down below. Kaid has made it up, sight unseen. Alfama is there right now, and he shoots out a drone, but he knows he's been spotted, his position given away. Diffuser at just about 20 seconds or so, and the Kaid going fishing now at the top of main stairs. Alfama cannot find anybody. He gets splattered, and down goes the sledge as Grixer refrags. But Rampy knows he only needs to waste a tiny bit of time. The call can be made at any point, waiting for Grixer to hop on that Diffuser. He's barely made it, and he falls off, and he won't get it no matter what. It was over, and Rampy finishes it off with the very final kill. It comes down to the wire, but SSG equalizes, and they'll take round number 2.
Big ups to Rampy in that round. He was, of course, the major playmaker that allowed SSG to win the round as a whole. There's the kill right there as he takes down Yeti through the floor. That's the pulse. And ultimately, the primary information gatherer for the defense eliminated. And thus, the plant is facilitated. Beautiful job there to Rampy, doing his job despite the bullets flying by his head and the C4 detonating all around him. And SSG, off the back of that, will take the round. There is also the fact that SSG, despite losing Fultz early on to Rexen in the site, did manage to get that refrag quite swiftly. So they never let go of the absolute man advantage, and they managed to keep control of the retake lanes. Also, the explosive, as we were discussing, was adequate enough to get rid of both of the evil eyes that were placed in the site. That way, SSG didn't have to stress the evil eyes so much. They could just worry about the pulse. And that, again, is one of the contributing factors to why Rampy's play was so important. So, 1-1 is the scoreline. And I gotta say, Parker, I think right now, so far through this, we're definitely looking at a much closer match than many had forecasted.
This is eUnited's map, and eUnited is starting on defense on Consulate. They had a good start, and yes, 2 rounds in, I'll agree with you, and the lineup that you see being brought from eUnited is a very utility soak heavy lineup as well. Wamai obviously is currently banned from action for this map, because SSG did not want to deal with him. So the idea being that SSG bans Wamai, it means that eUnited now need to scramble. Maybe they don't, but maybe they do need to scramble to fill that void if he was an integral part of their strategy. They have Jaeger on the board, so you'll be able to eat up 6 thrown objects or 6 projectiles. But more damning, the fact that you've got the Goyo shields on the board. You've got a Clash on the board. You've got Kansan playing Malusi with her bulletproof gadgets. So you have to keep in mind that if SSG are not good enough with their destructive work, they could be in significant trouble. The one change that they have made is they've subbed in the Zofia for the Ace. I like that change very much. On the top floor, you don't really need 2 hard breachers. Your focus is usually going to be on the long desk. So you can sub off the Ace and instead go with a little bit more disruption that the Zofia brings.
ADS struggling going on here, top yellow. All 3 ADS is used here. And this is why the Wamai ban is so crucial, because just the Jaeger ADS is not enough to burn all of the attacker utility. That's why, I mean, you see the Malusi and the Goyo. Why? So much else to burn with those explosives. Even if you get past the ADSs, you still have so many layers that it becomes really hard to spread all of your explosive utility adequately. Now, because all the ADSs are on yellow, everything else is free. And that's why that shield was so easy for the Zofia of Canadian to dispatch from CEO. As you can see, the primary focus here for SSG is to take yellow stairs. Now, that's not an easy task with the Clash in play, but at the very least, SSG is aware of what this obstacle is. They've droned it out, they're clearing out the ADSs, and they've got a good understanding of the confrontation as a whole. So now, it's just a matter of how will SSG execute onto this problem.
Fultz manages to take some of it away, and now a lot on the shoulders of Rexen, but there's Fultz to climb on in, and oh no, he takes out Rampy at the same time. Not ideal. He might meet his fate at the hands of a Nitro cell. No damage done. He gets out of the way before Yeti's explosive can go off. was a huge swing in from Space Station as they take complete control of the bathroom and then punish both members of eUnited that were playing on the stairs. A bit of a problem now as they appear to be stopped for the time being. There's a toxic canister at the top of yellow stairs. Yeti will try to keep things locked up for his team. He takes the confrontation with Bosco and wins it, an impeccably good shot before he's immediately removed from action by Canadian, who now attempts the plant. Thinking Nate on the window will cover as best as he can over towards Connector, and Canadian will get away scot-free. Fultz still on yellow stairs. Well, he's doing an awful good job. He hasn't been shaken off of his spot, finds another kill, and cans in a 1v3 post-plant. Welcome to the show as he attempts to disable, waits for somebody on the wings, scares him off, and attempts the defuse yet again. Falls off in a bit of a tussle. He has to be wary of anybody below. Deals an awful lot of damage to Thinking Nade, but the time is just bleeding away as Canadian on the window finishes him off. Kansan falls, and it's round number 2 in a row for SSG.
Good execution there from SSG. The question answered swiftly. The calm before the storm on those yellow stairs was profound. You saw SSG lining up all of their repels, the drones. Like 3 drones came in top yellow to try and gather information on the clash. They had a good scope of the situation before they went for the play, and the timing on the pinch from SSG was impeccable. You could see when Rampy repelled in, his primary focus was on getting the clash on the floor. That leaves the Jaeger naked somewhat, and it resulted in, yes, a team kill for Fultz, but still an overall win in taking control of yellow. Considering how much eUnited invested into maintaining yellow control, no matter what, that's a W, because you get rid of the players and the position, and not to mention all those ADSs, which again, with the Wamai ban, so important. So, yellow taking control of, SSG just needs to assert their dominance on CEO, and because yellow is in the hands of the attack, they don't have to worry about the crossfire. That makes repelling into CEO much easier. In fact, the crossfire is now working for the attack, so they utilize that to get the plant, and there you go, round over. United obviously realizes the predicament they're in the middle of all this and start trying to retake their own site. But that is one of the hardest scenarios to retake on this map, along with, I don't know, retaking post-plant basement from a garage plant.
I feel like there's not a really friendly retake bomb site here on Consulate. You know, lobby, they can escape far away. Garage, they can escape very far away. Teller's Archives, you have to police the stairs if you can't make it back up to the bomb site because the diffuser almost never gets planted in the basement. In Archives, well, you're basically doomed. You find yourself in a really tough position, whereas you have some maps where it's a lot friendlier to go for a retake. Clubhouse, we've seen it happen. Border, we've seen it happen. Bank, we've seen it happen. Obviously, 2 of those maps no longer in rotation, but you get the point that I'm trying to make.
Yeah, I get your point, and I agree with you. I think that Consulate as a map has always been kind of an egg with an extremely hard shell, but extremely gooey center. I mean, it's a hard map to get into in the first place, right? Like, look at this. Yeti is holding admin office, and there's 2 people trying to get into admin right now on Repel. What are they going to do? They're going to nade him? No, he's got ADSs. So they need to pinch him and invest tons of time and utility to get him out of this position. Hard shell. But once you get in there, it's a good platform for the attack. Now, meanwhile, Fultz did get Kansan. That's really unfortunate for the young player, as getting him picked off early, that means the Evil Eyes will stay still for the remainder of the round. Hopefully for his team, they are angled already. Nice shot from Yeti. Oh boy, through the wall, through the window, the man threads the needle, as someone I know and love likes to say.
Would you say to the windows, to the walls?
Yes, Parker. I would say. I'm pretty sure that's a song, right?
You're damn right.
I knew it.
This confidence, by the way, from Yeti, and the way that he's playing and being in that position with all the ADSs stacked up in that spot, it has now forced Space Station to get off of the rappel onto those windows and now move somewhere else. And while it's not going so well for them, after they've lost Rampy, they'll now lose Bosco. Fultz sustains a bit of damage too. So eUnited's defense looking significantly better, and Thinking Nade just a little bit blind to the play of eUnited inside a main lobby. Rexon isn't long for this earth, as Fultz is there to have his teammates back, and Fultz is actually pushing up from Zulu and heading on over towards Piano as Canadian lurks down below. Somebody presents themselves, and there he is. Fultz will deal significant damage, but he can't hit at all. Tries to take out the Jaeger, and he gets dusted off by Yeti, who finds his second kill of this round. 40 seconds remaining for Canadian again. to try and clutch it. He didn't have so much success in round number 1. He'll be able to do a better job this time. A little bit too high as the smoke will go off in front of him. The plumes chasing him away. He gets pushed down to yellow stairs as the smoke will linger. The AK is a great weapon, but in this situation, you've got to imagine that eUnited have their target priority in mind, and they are lined up perfectly to deal with this. But Canadian has some tricks up his sleeve. A smoke toss is out, and then with it, a Selma onto the wall. A great shot from Canadian onto Grixer as he pushes into bathroom, but eUnited has completely vacated the area. He's got diffuser in hand, but he's going to be very exposed as he takes a bit of damage, and he's out of time. All eUnited needs to do is finish him off. Alfama and Yeti push up. Will they allow him to get it down? They do. Extra points for eUnited, and I guess for Canadian too. And they equalize. eUnited with round number 4. Both of these teams will stay tied up 2-2.
Okay, that was an interesting round. Now, we need to call a little bit of attention to faults in that round for 2 things. Obviously, he was missing a couple shots that we actually got to see. But I must assume the reason why Thinking Nade was not paying attention to the player in the main lobby is that he saw faults over by statue or mid-spiral and assumed faults would have full dominance over the main lobby. Now, because of that assumption, which was false, we lost Thinking Nade outside the main door, and then faults had to refrag rather than simply getting an assertive frag and then getting dominance over the round. That's not a great picture for SSG, or faults in particular. Not sure what happened there. It must have been a miscommunication. But overall, there's been a little bit less lethality when it comes to SSG asserting control over each situation. That's what I'm noticing overall over these last 4 rounds. Now, it's not obviously done yet. We're still at that 2-2 scoreline. We're getting that back and forth. And to give some serious credit where it's due, eUnited, I'm loving... Speaking of assertive plays, I'm loving the assertiveness from eUnited on the defensive half. As you mentioned, Yeti playing inside of admin office, that was huge. The way he denied that as an entry point to SSG, that not only wasted a bunch of time, netted a kill, but it also forced SSG to reassess their entire attacking strategy.
eUnited have always been a very aggressive team, and I mean, when they tried to play outside of the meta and try to play whatever gameplay they tried in the past, obviously it didn't work all that well, but I don't think you could ever argue that the players on eUnited were incapable of pulling off good plays and mechanically gifted while doing so. Now we see a bit more structure, and that aggression seems to be more channeled, and it seems to be paying off considerably. Now, to set expectations accordingly, this is defense on eUnited's map pick. They are doing better than we expected, at least better than I would say. Do bear in mind that Theme Park and Clubhouse, the 2 maps that were played on when these teams met all the way back at the start of Stage 1, was 7-4-7-4 for SSG. So there's still time for SSG to run away with this, but eUnited have already proven through 4 rounds that they are doing a better job than before, and they do look like they are more poised, and they are playing what I would say is a style that is more consistent. Now, I think attack was their greatest weakness. We'll see what happens when they change, because they do have the benefit of starting on defense, and in this round in particular, they have the benefit of picking off faults. Down goes the Ash. Kansan with the opening pick. The Maestro guns down the Ash, and an advantage for eUnited for the remainder of this round.
Now, Fultz has been looking a little bit shaky, but he's also one of the top performers for SSG right now. Possibly something said about SSG as a whole currently. Now, getting rid of him is quite large, as it's going to dispatch not only the player and the gun, but also the explosives that could be used to destroy these Malusi Wubwubs or the Evil Eyes. Bosco, a nice kill onto Yeti. He had to have information on that. You could see he was pre-aimed before breaking the barricade. Broke it just to be sure his aim was true. And down goes your Jaeger and one of your star roamers through this map so far. It also means the sledge is going to be able to open up above the site and force those anchors to reposition somewhat. That drone, you could see in the hallway, had spotted out Rexon, but he has the awareness to fall off the push and get himself back to safety.
One of those impact grenades from Kansan had been used on the wall, allowing Rexon to get through it towards Visa stairs and then escape to the bottom floor. So a fight that Bosco was looking for is gone. But oh, Grixer's up and he finds 2 big kills inside of the main lobby, taking out both Bosco and Rampy and absolutely derailing this push from Space Station. They now find themselves with the 2 hard breachers remaining, and a slowed Ace will storm into the bomb site. Down goes 1, but then Canadian is traded out, so Kansan will need to be picked back up. Thinking Nate in a 1v2, technically, he'll need to drop right into the middle of the site. Looks one way, he finds that there's nobody there. Down goes the Maestro, but nobody from eUnited is going to give him this, and with the diffuser miles away, it doesn't matter what happens because the timer runs out and eUnited finds themselves regaining the lead.
Take a look at their faces. You can see eUnited is elated, focused, and, well, very ready to take rounds off of SSG. Guess you can't really count them out so early. They're looking pretty good right now. That was good awareness there. Right at the end, you could see that Rexon was like, yeah, I'm not going to take that fight. And he just plays into Harry Potter. Doesn't even try to engage with Thinking Nade. The right call, because had he, there was a possibility that the Smoke or Mute would have died as well, and we would have seen an actual SSG round. So good play there. Really, though, Grixer's push upstairs and the 2 kills he got by Mezzanine and Piano are the main focus. That, of course, that's the star of the show. Grixer, great awareness on the Repel player, and a flank onto the player in Piano, the Sledge in Piano, because he had no flank watch. Truly unfortunate. Now, this is not for lack of trying by SSG, and that's the interesting thing. We actually saw the flank watch drones for SSG earlier in the round. We know SSG had them, which means there was some level of negligence happening in the communication channels of SSG that allowed that flank to happen. Now, it's possible that the, and in fact, probably likely, that the Malusi dropped from the projector drop-down top floor. But regardless, there should have been some kind of tool SSG had there to also call that flank. But clearly it wasn't called, as the Sledge in Piano was caught completely flat-footed, and then the player on Repel just lost their 1. So good job to Grixer, but also what's happened there with the communication on SSG.
Being able to see the fraggers on eUnited pop off is really nice. And I know that we have given, myself in particular, have given eUnited a rough go of it.
Well,
I don't think much of what they did at the beginning of the season really warranted a ton of praise. And I don't think false praise is worthy of being given, as Kansan gets another opening pick, by the way. He's been involved in early altercations as Maestro, removes Bosco, but Rexon is taken down. Rexon has not been a top performer from eUnited so far, so it's not the end of the world, but same goes for Bosco. They're both decently middle of the pack on their team at the moment.
Yeah, I think we've all given eUnited a bit of a bad rap, and they're showing their teeth here, and I am happy about that. As with you, I'm sure, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but as with you, I too just like to see good siege, and we're seeing some good siege here today. Now, Canadian will take down Alfalma, who looked to have attempted to run out Visa door. I'm not sure what that play was there from Alfalma. I don't know if I agree with it. Obviously, it didn't work. It's also going to result in hacked cameras, as that camera was dropped outside conveniently for the Dokkaebi. That's going to mean that those tools that eUnited would want to utilize work now against them. Kansan, getting a little aggressive, is going to start pushing up Visa stairs, and he wins the fight against Rampy. An absolutely incredible shot. Yet he will also get faults off screen, looks like by yellow stairs, and now SSG is a man down. But Canadian is planting, and he's planting deep in archives. Thinking Nade's going to have the cover, and he'll take down Yeti. Kansan and Grixer now need to retake downstairs. I don't think they expected this. You can see Grixer's in a decent position to do it, but he's just been called out by his own camera. He'll have to destroy it, but the damage is done. The information relayed for SSG. Now, this is another one of those really hard to retake post-plant scenarios. And Grixer and Kansan are unlikely to have much information. You could tell by the way they're spraying through walls. Kansan goes for a push through the blue hall. It's going to be a difficult fight to win, but he'll win it regardless. He needs to take the 4K. He doesn't have much time for this. Thinking Nade could time this perfectly if he just waits it out, and it looks like that's his strategy. The clutch from Thinking Nade. SSG will take the round despite A beautiful performance from Kansan.
Really tense. Really, really tense from both of those teams. And I really like the way that SSG changed things up. I think a round ago I was saying, oh, nobody plants down in archives. And what a fool I was made to look here. But in this instance, they realized that taking control of that first floor is a bit too frustrating. It's not going to happen. So they make a small change. And Thinking Nade has been, Thinking Nade has been tasked with doing flank watch so often that all he needs to do is sit and just watch over the diffuser going down. And he does a really admirable job, I would say. The retake from eUnited comes very close. Kansan has impressed the ever-living hell out of me so far. I know that there were a lot of people who were a little bit confused by his admission to this team, in most part because he wasn't a household name. I think he's showed up. I think he's shown up really big against a top-tier opponent. He's been the standout for me on eUnited, and with that round, he's actually tied Grixer. I think Grixer has also been a player that has kind of lived in the shadow of eUnited's potential and worn some of those poor results. And in this case, we're getting to see what he's capable of doing. So eUnited, they tie the first half. Now, defense on Consulate, you take 3 rounds. SSG takes 3 rounds. That's not exactly where you want to be. If I was eUnited, a 4-2 scoreline is essentially what I want. But I think given the expectations heading into this match, I think it's as good as eUnited possibly could have hoped for.
Yeah, I'd say it was said during the analyst desk. Already we've got a mortal victory for United. I think is not exactly like that, but something along those lines. They've got to be feeling good about themselves for having shaved off these rounds. And there's still plenty of potential for United to put in work on this attacking half. I mean, we haven't seen them play attack Consulate in a while. So we're going to have to wait here for the ultimate conclusion. But it's been good from both teams. And you love to see that. Now, early on in this round, it looks like SSG are feeling the pressure on the west side. Appears to be a top clear for United, although they're not fully committed to anything just yet. There's actually nothing on the west side of the top floor right now. SSG's fully committed their forces on the east side of the top floor currently. Now, that actually could present an opportunity for United, and an opportunity for a piano attack specifically if they realize that this is the case.
Attackers drop the diffuser.
One thing I want to point out as well regarding SSG is now they're the ones that are going to be on defense. They managed to get the diffuser down 4 times on 6 rounds. That's a pretty good feat. And obviously, Canadian has some of the best stats when it comes to getting the diffuser planted. But it really goes to show you that where I think eUnited beat SSG was just simply adapting. There goes a nitro cell over the head of Yeti as he manages to get off drone at the right time, and he's looking and itching for a fight against Bosco, but he's not going to get it. Bosco 25 HP gone, Yeti about 50, and there you go. Yeti gets gunned down. He goes on to repel to try to provoke Bosco, but Bosco with the better angle. Fultz gets traded out though by Alfalma. Now it's a jump out, but he's looking the wrong way, and Rexon upside down is a very easy kill onto the remainder of Bosco. Not exactly the smartest play, but one that you go for, and if it works out, well, you find yourself in a huge advantage. eUnited now have the upper hand in terms of man count with just under a minute left in their very first attack.
Still good, could be an SSG round. Nothing definitive yet. The top floor presence is the main focus for SSG. From upstairs, they can successfully hold on to their site, usually. Speaking of, Thinking Nade through the drop or through the holes will get Kansan, who was attempting to push into the site with the diffuser. Gas canister goes onto the CEO windows there from Thinking Nade to dissuade the rappel in. Canadians got control over Piano, Thinking Nade control over B. Rampy's even going to get one by Visa. I mean, this is all falling apart here for eUnited. Alfalma positioning himself by the yellow stairs, and he'll catch the drop. It's actually Alfalma credited with the kill, not Rexon, who was also in Piano, lasered on that drop down. This could be a post plant in just a few seconds here, making it much more difficult for SSG. A nice shot from Rexon, and here comes that 2v3 clutch. It's all on Thinking Nade to have to win it again. In order to do so, he's going to have to get 2 separate fights. Checks repel, no one there. Position not given away. He made it back in time. Goes for the drop. This is going to be a very difficult challenge with the SMG-11. On the long angle, Alfalma all the way outside will shut Thinking Nade down, and eUnited take the first round of the second half.
So it's not just that they play better in the post plant on defense, they seem to do just about the same on attack. And as Alfama completes the objective, Rexon in particular, with that great shot over towards the lobby, is able to shut down that 2v2 from possibly becoming a major headache. And was it Alfama who was able to get away and then use the opening inside a bathroom on that long angle? Because if so, I don't know if he makes it necessarily if Rexon doesn't win that very first fight. I'm thinking Nate obviously being in no man's land, he's not going to be able to do too much, and an unfortunate situation for SSG to find themselves in. Diffuser now being planted in 5 of 7 rounds means that this is a very well executed map for both of these teams at this moment.
Yeah, it's been pretty good from everyone, to be honest. I'm really happy about what we've been seeing, and as of course I've been talking about. Now that last round, big clutch for eUnited. It certainly looked like it was swaying the way of SSG. Right at the end, though, it looked like everything just started to go towards eUnited. Crucially, Canadian, who was playing above Piano on the drop-down, was unable to stop the entry into Piano itself. Now, he dropped, I'm guessing because he heard the rappel noise, and he needed to directly confront the windows, because you can't get an angle onto the windows direct from that drop, at least not on a comfortable angle where you're sure you're going to be able to win the fight. So I'm pretty sure he dropped as he heard the rappel. Unfortunately, Alfama was at the same time coming in from Soda, and, well, there was almost no way that Canadian was going to be able to win in the middle of that crossfire. And that actually was all the Piano control that SSG had because of the early picks that eUnited gave out. So, yeah, I don't know, a really interesting round. Could have easily been SSG's, though. Now, it looks like a Piano clear here, or sorry, not a Piano clear, an admin clear, Piano. But SSG is trying to hold it with 2 players, so this will probably take eUnited a while if they actually commit to it. No, they're just going to leave. Yep.
I like that you mentioned that this could be, that last round could have very easily been SSG, because that, to me, is the biggest emerging story, other than the fact that eUnited is very clearly doing better right now than they did previously. The big thing for me is that so many of these rounds have really been coin tosses.
Yeah.
So this could be a blowout for either team. It could be a small, narrow victory for SSG in regards to where they are on the scoreline. They've been awfully close here on Consulate. Now, whether that just speaks to maybe Space Station is having a rough start, we don't really know. The Sonics had a rough start against Dark Zero on Monday. They were able to find their footing, but unfortunately, they'd already given up too much ground at that point to be able to make it back up. Obviously, there's still plenty of game left here for Space Station. They come in, as I would imagine, most people having them as the favorites, but eUnited have really impressed so far, and, well, they're definitely punching above their old weight. Yeah. This is a Teller's Archives defense right now, and it looks like Space Station's focus is over by Teller's, as you come to expect. You can see from their lineup, they've got 3 Nitro cells, so they're going to have some equipment handy to deal with anybody from eUnited, as eUnited are actually clearing out the basement right now with Kansan, Grixer, and Rexon all working together, and Alfama is actually going to be the one who gets credited with the very first kill on the Thinking Nade, so Space Station forfeiting in the very first interaction.
That was Thinking Nade trying to rotate on the Visa stairs. Now, Alfama was just outside that Visa window on the long angle, able to win the fight. Now, it's not all over yet for SSG. Of course, that's just 1 kill. And look at the time. 30 seconds. There goes Alfama on a vault in. Rampy gets him nice and easy. Faults also gets Kansan off screen. The push into the site is not working out great for the attack. And another one for Faults as he has come alive on the defensive half. Bosco will get Rexon as he attempts to push Security Hall. Grixer gets 1, but is this just twisting in the wind? He needs to find 3 in 15 seconds and plant the diffuser. If he can kill Canadian, he might be able to plant, but he pre-aims wrong location, and Canadian will shut him down. SSG secure the round.
Something, old something gun in the game. Canadian finishes him off.
You can see
I'm sure the eagle-eyed viewers will be able to finish that one off for me. So, an evenly matched eUnited and SSG brawl right now leaves us back tied at 4-4. I liked the confidence that eUnited displayed as they took control of Garage. Unfortunately for them, it seemed that they suffered some great degree of difficulty. The mid-round till the close, at figuring out the location of the SSG players. And I think a good deal of that has to do with Mozzie being present on the board. Obviously, he only gets 3 pests. You can't lock down the entirety of the map. But when you couple it with the fact that SSG is running a decently annoying composition when it comes to denying you intel, I think it was more than enough to frustrate eUnited. And the other thing too is that while eUnited have been together with a core roster and then adding both Kansan and Rexen means that they're still relatively new, they are a team that are going to be ironing out comms. They are probably not where they know they can be in regards to their full communication and potential that surrounds that. So it will continue to improve as time goes on, but you know from experience, and we've talked about this many times in the broadcast, newer teams do tend to struggle on attack because it can be hard to get everything lined up and play off of it quickly. In that case, when you factor in a Vigil, a Mozzie, or a Mute, or all 3 of them, especially with the way that SSG plays it, as in good of a fashion as they do, it can be really challenging for teams to be able to pick that apart. And given that eUnited was so focused on taking that bottom floor, they just kept running into different members of Space Station that I don't think they were anticipating, and SSG winning those fights, well, that was enough for them to be able to take the round off of it.
I still think, they've been looking okay. Much better. Hey, I will say this. eUnited is looking much better than I would have expected them to be, given the short amount of time they had to acclimate to this new roster. Like, in a very specific sense. Like, they, other than just, oh, yeah, we counted eUnited out. Yeah, I mean, yeah, a lot of people are going to, based on the recent history, based on the recent performances, it's been pretty bad. But also the roster changes that always trips teams up, and it's not tripping eUnited up too much, although of course, as you mentioned, it is a factor. Now, it looks like a pretty far removed defense here on the basement. As you can see, it's based on utility. That's how SSG is going to deny a plant straight in through garage. They've got gas canisters, Evil Eyes, C4s in play. They've even got a Vigil who can drop from the bathroom immediately if there's an emergency. So SSG looks far removed from the site right now, but they in fact have quite a lot of control. And that's why eUnited is not going for a straight rush into the site.
They've done what we saw SSG doing when they were attacking on garage, which is open those garage panels up with an ace present, and expect Alfama to continuously run that operator. He's got a good shot, and with the AK in his hands, well, that's a pretty damn good mix. SSG playing above, especially holding bathroom the way Rampy is, means that eUnited are going to need to stack somebody up to try to flush him out. Now, he's got the hatch open, so he can drop down when he wants, but 5 reinforcements, from my count, 5 reinforcements have been used to essentially barricade him in, meaning that it's going to be challenging unless eUnited uses one of Ace's Selmas, as there's no second hard breach on eUnited's side of things.
Ooh. Looks like he's just dropped out of there. In the nick of time, it seems, Kansan will address the bathroom situation and find it empty. Grixer actually gets Rampy from above, so maybe it was a different play there from Rampy, but the plant's going down all the while. C4 will down Alfama in the smoke, and that's going to prevent the plant from going all the way down. There is time yet for eUnited to recover this, and they in fact still retain the man advantage despite Alfama being downed. It's unlikely he'll be able to be saved, as yet there it is, the gas canister to finish him off. But still man advantage, eUnited, and control advantage at that. They're well positioned above, and they can retrieve that diffuser from outside. Very limited manpower outside, though. It's just the Ash of Rexen. If he dies, that will be a crucial influence onto this round, and there it is. 2 big kills for SSG, and now almost no time for eUnited to try and clutch this up. The push is going in just to cover that plant from Yeti, but it's not going to matter. The information's there, and SSG will take the round.
What went wrong for eUnited there? Well, the biggest thing for me, it was too linear of an attack. Outside of having the sledge upstairs, the rest of eUnited seemed very focused and very intent on pushing through garage and yellow. The IQ was also upstairs with Yeti, but there was nobody really covering, and eUnited's focus was on the front of garage, while SSG had fallen fully back into the depths of cafeteria and playing off of the hallway and by security. What this meant, as we see from many teams, is that while you forfeit control of garage, you still hold it with either toxic canisters or nitro cells. And we got to see both of them used. Alfama tries to plant in the middle of his own smoke grenade by the bomb chassis next to the white van, and a nitro cell greets him. Toxic canisters lobbed overhead, and eventually Alfama gets finished off, while the rest of eUnited then have to scramble to grab the diffuser, which has been dropped in the middle of the bomb site. And without smokes available, as nobody else on the team had access to them, just the ace of Alfama, who's now dead, they didn't have any coverage, and the sledge couldn't pinpoint the location of the members of SSG, most crucially Canadian, who was playing in the back of Cafeteria. At that point, eUnited just didn't seem to have enough time to be able to make a pivot with only 20 seconds left, and as they drop, you know how vulnerable you are when you're dropping through a hatch, and SSG playing far enough back with the intel that they had, they greeted every member of eUnited as they dropped or pushed in through garage, and it was no real chance. There was no real chance for eUnited to be able to pull it off. They didn't even get any time to engage in gunfights. So, with that said, SSG takes the round on the seesaw of a match that we have. It's the second in a row for SSG, and they retake the lead because of it.
Speaking of taking, Rexon has taken control of admin office quite quickly. This is actually really good. Now, again, remember we talked about that hard shell soft center. Once you get that control, it could be very, very powerful as an attacking team. So the fact that eUnited is just able to walk into admin with no fight from SSG, that's very valuable. You can see they can drone now. They can rest assured they know where their line is, what needs to be watched, what doesn't. It'll save time. It'll really help this whole clear process. Now, it's not easy to get past Thinking Nade. You can see he's playing in Bosco spot, as it's commonly known as, or the northeast corner of Projector. Now, this particular location is crucial because it can single-handedly stop a push from east to west if the player in that spot is good enough at playing that spot. That's why it's called Bosco spot commonly. Is Bosco, when you put him in that corner, he's a force to be reckoned with, but he's actually playing somewhere else right now. It's Thinking Nade who's playing here. So, yeah, he's supporting Bosco spot.
People may be confused because there is a plant over there, the little tree in the corner. We referred to it as Bosco spot because of the plays that he's pulled off when Bosco is on that smoke roll. And right now he's on the other SAS operators. Thinking Nade is the one in the typical Bosco roll. So maybe they just changed names. Maybe they're playing on each other's PCs. We don't know.
Who knows? Anything's possible.
This is a very typical take onto the back of the walls leading into the bomb site by Long Desk, and usually you'd see a Thermite do that, but guess what? You don't need to do a Thermite. You've got Ace, and you don't even need to engage too hard, as Thermite can be quite vulnerable in that position. They still smoke it off just in case. With the bomb site being downstairs, this utility is being expended just to try and push off the players from Space Station that are on the second floor, and they've done a pretty good job of it. Thinking Nade is down to a tiny bit of HP, and he's long gone. And right now it's Bosco that's going to try to fight off the hordes. The question is, will eUnited have the tools to be able to push the Mute, who's playing right now inside of Connector, off of this position while simultaneously getting the objective down on the bottom floor?
Well, the engagement's going to start. Bosco will get one. That's Grixer, who attempted to repel into CEO. The full clear in Projector never even happened. Look at that. It's just Rexon on the balcony, and he'll try to prevent Alfalma being eliminated from above. Great shots there from Rexon and Yeti, so Rexon does his work, but the diffuser is still downed, and it will need to be retrieved and planted now by Yeti, meaning there's only 2 guns up in the last 5 seconds. SSG's got 3, and they're going to deny it once more. There's no time to pick up the diffuser. If defense stays alive, they win, and they will. eUnited, not enough time. Too much wasted on the top floor, and SSG take another close round.
The dying seconds, you've got the sledge playing an antechamber, you've got the IQ positioned inside a main lobby, and nobody is watching spiral stairs, and the other entry point to the bomb site happens to be the hatch above, which is what SSG uses in both of those spots to take complete control and kill the diffuser planter both times. First Alfama and then Yeti right after. Ultimately, I think the biggest issue for eUnited on that round came on the second floor. They wasted a lot of time. They wasted a lot of their gadgets. They wasted a lot of their utility and effort on pushing out control of that second floor. We got to see it as Thinking Nade absorbed a lot of damage and a lot of explosives, still managed to make it away. And in fact, I think he died at the final second right before the round ended. So that man who was on 1 HP, he persevered. Bosco didn't get off of that spot for almost the entire round. So for eUnited, their attempts at taking control of that second floor ultimately failed, and they thought they had the coverage, which is why Alfama decided to stick the plant, but they didn't even have anywhere near enough to make it worthwhile. And SSG just keeps batting them down every time, and nobody from eUnited, with 10 seconds, 15 seconds left on the clock, they don't have the time to get back up top. They don't have the time to take control of Projector. They just simply can't have somebody watching that angle because the eUnited players are all assembled on the bottom floor at this point, and they're all focused on relatively same areas. And unfortunately, there was too much area that wasn't being watched that SSG was able to play off of, kill both of the defuse planters, and then win the round.
Look at this. Thinking Aid and Rampy holding on to admin this time. So a little bit of a change here. Now on match point, SSG could lock this one out. They realize how important time is to eUnited. And if only 20 more seconds are wasted, eUnited has even less chance of taking a round. And so the delay begins. Now the question is, how swiftly will eUnited realize that this attempted push into admin is a mistake and simply change up their strategy? There's very little likelihood that they're going to be able to make this one work. Now, it could happen that eUnited kills both the admin roamers and gets a decisive advantage and control on this round. Again, it's just unlikely.
Time being wasted has been the major thorn in the side of eUnited. They have struggled with it on a number of rounds right now, and SSG's forte is running the Mute, Mozzie, Vigil combination that they popularized so long ago. They take out Yeti, but there's a refrag from Grixer on the Canadians, so the Pulse isn't going to be able to do too much more, and he was crucial at being able to call out the positions of eUnited when eUnited last attacked Archives Tellers. In round number 8, it wasn't quite close enough. Oh my goodness, what an opportunity from Fultz as he manages to get away for about a second, but Grixer with a second kill puts us back to a 3v3. Yeti and Kanzan removed with Canadian and Fultz down. Well, I'm actually decently happy with that if I'm eUnited, because these are two very important players on Space Station that will not be able to do much for the remainder of this round.
Good destruction here from eUnited. That'll get them into the site and able to plant Bosco downstairs with the C4, but the Pulse is dead, which means he won't be able to call out where the plant is happening. Bosco has to time this perfectly, but he's not even trying. Oh no, it goes far and is even shot mid-air. Now in a post plant, eUnited needs to hold on to this plant spot. SSG, difficult retake, and as they lose Thinking Aid, that's huge. It's all on Rampy now as Bosco died elsewhere. 2 kills to find, and it's not going to happen. eUnited lock that one up and keep this map in contention.
Well, it was 7-4 last time, very nearly the same, but eUnited manages to pick up one more round than they were capable of when they met SSG and danced with them many moons ago. So we'll need all 12 rounds in regulation. If overtime is required, Space Station will be defending twice. Right now, if you look at which side has the distinct advantage, the answer is neither. Because in order to propel us to overtime, eUnited would need to win 3 rounds on attack, which is the same number that SSG won when they were on attack as well. So Consulate is looking very even at the moment, and both of these teams seem quite comfortable regardless of what side they're playing on. Lobby was a bomb site that eUnited won. They add Archives to that list. Garage has not been won by them just yet, but they lost Archives Tellers the first time. They win it the second time. eUnited's hoping to be able to do the same, as it's a basement defense for SSG with this match on the line. If they can hold on to match point, then we have at least 2 rounds of OT for the unfamiliar viewer in regards to how our settings work. And for SSG, they're not going to be using that same frustrating intel strategy. No Mute, no Mozzie, no Vigil. Instead, it's going to be an intel-heavy lineup with Echo and Maestro in play, and then some utility being required from the attackers, as Malusi is going to be present and Jaeger as well to eat up some of the thrown equipment and projectiles.
10 seconds to go.
The basement defense is a solid site here. I think that as the meta has continued to evolve on Consulate,
Attackers are moving to defuse a
bottom floor has solidified itself as the most comfortable for the majority of teams. For a number of reasons, of course. It affords you quite a lot of flexibility when it comes to your vertical roam. You've got a lot of room to breathe upstairs as a detached roamer, and it really is based on your wits whether you stay alive or not. Lots of soft destruction even up there. There's also the fact that there's plenty of utility on the defensive side now where you don't actually have to play deep in garage to deny a plant. I mean, look at this. We've got a Maestro, an Echo, and C4, and a smoke to deny plant. There's no reason to stress about playing in dangerous positions. You could just relax, take a load off, and use your utility to deny. So, impact tricking going on there from Canadian. I don't think he made a massive enough impact, no pun intended, on the hard destruction. As Alfama's even still got one Selma left, he can open this up further. Now, crucially, those are both vault holes, it looks like. So the attackers are gonna have to vault through that wall in order to get into the site, and that's actually gonna slow them down a little bit. It's a window of opportunity, so to speak, for the defenders to pick off attackers as they attempt to push in. Now, eUnited has also gotten control upstairs. This is important because it means that things like this are allowed to happen. Ooh, ADS catches that. That's crucial. eUnited still need to get that Evil Eye before they can go in for a push.
One thing that eUnited really struggled on the last time they attacked this bomb site was stacking up in the... Oh no, did that first one miss? The second one looks like it might have connected, but that was a frag grenade, 2 ash charges, and 3 stuns that were used to take out a single Maestro camp.
Yeah.
Now, not exactly the best use of that utility, especially since there's going to be a Banshee placed on the top of Black Car, and there's going to be a Yokai drone positioned nearby, though you're not going to be using any of those to necessarily take out the Yokai, as it hovers over by the doorway of Garage. But the greater issue that eUnited will have to face is fixing the way that they attacked the last round. They all got stacked up on Garage, and they got picked off one by one. Alfama came in to try to go for the plant, and in this time, he's going to take an engagement and lose it entirely. Rampy goes down to Grixer, but both teams find themselves without one. Yeti punishes Fultz. He's on yellow stairs, or Kansan's rather on yellow stairs. Yeti is still above. So SSG deep within the back of the bomb site. One of them will have to contend with the member of eUnited who goes to grab that diffuser. This is a very strong position on yellow stairs by Kansan with 30 seconds left, just under 30 seconds for eUnited to push us to overtime. One toxic canister, another one from Bosco. There's still one remaining. Great shot from Kansan onto Bosco. He has proven his worth right now on this team. Lots of damage being done from Thinking Nade. Drops Rexen. That's diffuser down. 10 seconds remaining, but not enough from Thinking Nade. Canadian will have to use a Yokai drone if it's still available. 2 seconds left. Yeti planting. And there it is! With the Yokai drone in play, Space Station in the final second. They use their gadgets well. And it's a 7-5 for SSG as they take eUnited's map and a 1-0 lead here in this matchup.
Parker, that breakdown was about to be all eUnited praise. I mean, wow, they played that so